Hello, and welcome to another episode of My Brain Está Spicy, the podcast where two overthinking, sometimes anxiety-ridden friends spill on their highs and lows and the craziness of navigating mental health in our daily lives.
We are your hosts, Melisa and Christy. I'm Christy. She's Melissa. And as always, we are going to be talking about the beautiful chaos of life with spicy brains and inject this safe space with as much humor and our unique sazon as we can. So get yourself comfortable, grab your favorite drink or three, because it's sure to be a super fun time.
And just so we're clear, everybody, we are not medical professionals. The views and opinions that we are going to share on our show are for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not doctors, lawyers, or financial advisors. If you need expert advice in any way, shape, or form, please seek out the proper qualified professionals.
Seriously, go to therapy.
And with that, here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of My Brain Está Spicy. Christy and I have a spicy episode. Yes, pun intended. Lined up for today. I know, corny. I had to. I'm so sorry, but also not sorry.
It hurt. It injured me. That was painful.
Anyways, we gotta soak up that laughter because today's episode's a bit so much heavier, more so impactful, fiery, some could say. It's an episode that Christy and I have kind of alluded to a couple of times, different things that we've talked about with regards to women and feeling suppression and how it affects our bodies. And we talked about it in the last episode that we were going to touch on this. So we are specifically focusing on basically the sacredness that is feminine rage and really the untapped fountain that is for women.
Truly.
It's something that all of us deal with, men and women, but specifically this episode for women, it really is going to be for us ladies. And especially within the Latina community, it's definitely a very hot topic and comes up a lot and has its own stigmatisms to it. So we've each done a little bit of our own research with regards to like what we wanted to touch on today. I'm going to be pulling specifically from one post that Christy sent me about 2 or 3 weeks back. And it nails this topic so well. It's from another Instagram influencer. Her name is Stephanie Nosco. Highly recommend. If you are interested in anything regarding energy and your organs and how your body processes energy, follow her account. I'll definitely link it in the show notes. And she specifically put out a post called Sacred Rage, a reclamation of life force. And she's got a number of different slides. For me, I'm just going to focus on a few of them, but there's one specifically that I kind of want to start us off with in terms of where this topic is really going to lead us today. And the piece is the energy of rage. And it says, rage is an upward surge of life force energy that protects and defends what matters. In Chinese medicine, rage is connected to the liver, which governs the smooth flow of qi. And for those of you who don't know what qi is, qi in Chinese culture is essentially tied to the fundamental concept representing like the vital life force or energy that permeates in the universe and everything within it. Just kind of draw that in for folks. So rage is tied to the smooth flow of qi and blood. And because women are more deeply connected to blood and the liver and the uterus, because again, we have our monthly cycles and, everything for us is stored there. And even across different cultures, it's stated that everything with regards to feeling and emotion is stored for women in our hips. It's really stored for everybody there, but especially for women, it's stored there. And as I read the post, and it touches on how rage is a surge of life force. I loved that. I loved that reframing of it because I don't know about you, Christy, but at least for me, I haven't really come to truly embrace rage until I would probably say the last 5 or so years, and more so because
Mhm.
I've come to understand it more, and I've come to really realize it's okay to be angry.
Mhm.
So often as women, and especially as Latinas, like, we get this, um, unfortunate, um, imagery that, you know, being angry and having rage, like, we're not allowed to have it. It's like we either always have to be happy or we can't say shit. And when we
Mhm.
reach that point of showing our rage, for me, I'm really, really angry if I'm screaming and I'm crying at the same time,
Oh
or if
my
my
god, the
voice gets raised and
crying.
I'm crying at the same
The
time. But I've
crying.
got right? But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, if I'm in a really, really heated discussion or I'm really, really angry and I know I'm gonna start crying, I will say, I'm like, "Look, I'm gonna cry. I am not sad. Understand,
Yeah.
I am so furious and I have no other way to let this out of my body because I
Yep.
can't throw anything at you right now because that's
Yep.
frowned upon.
Yep.
So my body's going to do the smarter thing and it's going to cry while I'm talking to you, but please understand that
Yep.
I am furious right now,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um but in kind of researching for the episode, I enjoyed kind of looking at that alternate view of rage as fuel. Um
Mhm.
And not
Mhm.
necessarily bad fuel, but actually good fuel to motivate you, to keep you going, to keep you from falling into that negativity. Um, so yeah, so that's kinda where I wanna start us and just kinda wanna see, I mean, for you, Christy, like, what's come up as you started looking into this topic that you picked for us, um, and kinda how it's sat with you as you've read up on it.
Yeah, so, um, a few things. I mean, I kind of concentrated on on a couple different, um, viewpoints on it. So, first from
Okay.
a the liver thing is really interesting, can I just say, because I'm working with, like, a hormone specialist right now to because I have endometriosis type pain, and I'm trying to kind of not go the surgical route of treating it,
Mhm,
which means, having treating like estrogen dominance and stuff like that through ultimately supporting the detoxification that happens in your liver. So,
mhm,
you saying that, like, I know that a lot of the health things I have going on and the reason my body
mhm.
will not let go of the weight that it refuses to let go of, I think a big part of it is suppressed emotion. And much like you, it's only been maybe in the last uh, I had a specific turning point that I can think of when I
Mhm.
realized what I was feeling was anger. Uh, or
Okay.
rather, someone else told if my therapist was like, "You do realize you're angry about this specific situation I was in at the time, and that you're allowed to be angry about it." And I did not realize that. Like, I don't know. I thought I'm not sure what I thought at the time. I was going through a big transition in my life. This was pre-COVID, uh pre my husband coming back at whatever, like the just few years back, probably 10,
Mhm.
10? No, 8. And I had every reason to be angry, but instead I had okay, so here's the tea. I'll just spill the tea and I don't care. So
Okay,
I
I am here
was
for it.
so for our 10th episode, this will be our 10th episode, right?
Mhm.
That's pretty so yay,
Pretty wild.
happy 10 episodes to us. Beyond that. Um so I was engaged being prior to my current relationship, marriage, whatever. Um,
Mhm.
so this was back in pre-COVID times, such an innocent world we were in. I was in a long-term relationship with someone, and they were not the most motivated of people in terms of like their future, their career. I, on the other hand, am very, um, I like to plan.
Ambitious.
Yes, I'm very goal oriented. I have very strong work ethic. So, he was still going to school at the time, or so I thought. But then I found out that, and I was paying for everything. And I mean, I loved him. We were together for like 5 years in total. So it wasn't, it was like an overtime thing. Like now
Mhm.
looking back, I'm like, hello. But ultimately, like I'm, footing the bill for everything. And he ultimately was lying to me. He wasn't going to school. He was using the money his parents had given him for tuition for passion projects, let's call it. Podcasts and shit.
Okay.
Shit that white guys do. I don't fucking know. Um, and like I was very supportive of all his extracurricular passion projects because I'm a supportive fucking girlfriend slash partner. Like that's what I do.
True, but you didn't
But
know at the time that
no,
it
I didn't.
was he was
So
just doing that and he was pissing all the money away. So I get it.
yeah. So the day he told me, it was actually the middle of the night. Like I woke up and I hear him like being sick in the bathroom, and I'm like, what? And he comes to me and he's like absolutely distraught, saying like, I've messed everything up. I can't believe that, I've done this. And I'm like, what's like, we'll figure out what's happening. And he tells me like, I haven't been going to school. I've been lying to you. And the first thought I had was, I have to calm him down. So I have to be calm
Mm.
because I have to calm him down. Because if he doesn't calm down, then what am I going to do? I don't know. It felt like a safety issue for some reason for me. Not that he wasn't an aggressive person at all. He was perfectly nice person.
It was just a trauma
Um,
response for one reason or another.
yeah, probably. So, um, it wasn't until ultimately 2 months, like 2 months after that, we had just gotten engaged. Or no, I'm sorry. We had been engaged for maybe actually close to a year at that point. We were like 6 months from our wedding, and I had already bought my dress. Deposits were already like given at the venues. Like it was full steam
Mhm.
ahead. And 2 months after he told me about that, I started misbehaving in the ways that I misbehave when my relationships start going south. And basically I was like emotionally cheating with somebody else. And I was talking to my therapist about this, and I was just like, I don't understand why. Like, why do I do this? What the fuck is wrong with me? And she was
Mhm.
like, you're really angry. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not about what? And she's like, you remember 2 months ago how you had that whole conversation with him? And he's basically been living off of you and under certain conditions, which he wasn't meeting. And I was like, whoa. I just started crying, like the
Mhm.
tears just came. And ever since that day, the anger within me
Mhm.
hasn't stopped. Like I'm just aware of it. Sometimes it's really less controllable than other times, and usually it comes out in tears, it usually tears. That's how my anger expresses itself. Sometimes I'll try to use it to get through like a Peloton class or some shit like that, but otherwise it's through crying. All that to
Mhm.
say, yeah, it's been the past couple of years that really anger has become more familiar to me, but that doesn't mean it's been easier to express. I'm just really aware of it, and I'm still learning how to let it come out. This podcast. helps me do that, honestly. Um, but yeah, that's the tea on that story. It's a
I think if anything, that just
tea story.
resonates like how much having a safe place makes a difference in terms of whether or not, you feel comfortable expressing anger. And it also brings
Mm,
into light just how much we are conditioned to not be angry. The fact
mm,
that something like that happened to you and you didn't, like, your first instinct was, I have to take care of him first. I'll deal with myself after. But then
mhm,
even when you were dealing with yourself after, you still didn't know how to acknowledge what was happening and realize that it was anger, or give yourself the permission, which I think is more than anything, that's the big thing. It's
mm,
us giving ourselves the permission to feel that rage. Awareness is great, don't get me wrong. Um, but that first initial permission is the biggest part, and then
mm,
once you've got the permission from yourself to feel and acknowledge and look at the rage, right? And look at the anger and what's making you angry. Then that's where, the part of maturity comes into play, where it's like we start trying to find like healthy ways to push through it. Um, but I think you hit it really well with regards to kind of when we start becoming aware
mm,
of our rage.
mhm,
Like, I think back to when I was younger, and like I know when I would get mad, but so often it was so tied into my sensitivity as
mm,
opposed to my
100.
anger. So it was like I was always told, "Oh, you're just so sensitive," right?
Emotional.
And
So emotional.
exactly, very emotional. You can't control, you're too soft, or
Like,
this, that, and the other. And the older I've gotten and the more aware of it I've gotten in the last couple of years, the more I realized I wasn't sensitive. I was angry. And I just
mhm,
didn't realize it was anger because we weren't allowed to be angry. That was something that I suffered with a lot initially when I first started therapy myself, that I really struggled with acknowledging that a lot of the times I was really angry. I always felt like whenever I had something going on, and this is both within family, or within friends, right? Like, I was always the one that always had to put on a smiley face, or like
mhm,
I had to get over whatever I was going through super fast. Like I
mhm,
couldn't, eh, like, no one really would give me the safe space to feel like I could just fall apart or feel
yeah,
angry.
yeah,
And for the record, that's not to say that my family didn't give me a safe space, because they did. My parents were actually really good about, like, when something was hurting or something was wrong, or if you needed to talk to them, you could. But it's different from a place of like real anger and really processing like
yeah,
something that's hurting you, right?
yeah,
Um, I've come to embrace that now as I got older, and it's sad if you really think about it, because,
mhm,
and this goes for men and for women, if we were properly taught how to harness and move through anger the right way
mhm,
earlier, it would
mhm.
be so much better for all of us, and
Oh,
especially
100%.
women,
Especially
especially women.
women, I do wanna say men are also affected by, of course, the societal norms that are pushed upon them. They are rewarded for anger, aggression. Um, the thing is that they're not taught how to do it healthily either. It's just
Mhm.
encouraged, you know?
Yeah,
They're just
that's
it's
true.
just rewarded. It's not they're not directed like, okay, you got angry, it's okay that you got angry, but you can't hit the other boy or the girl or whoever, like, you can't hit them or you can't like the outward aggression expression, I think is is where maybe there's they also are misled. So I do want to give credit for that, because I don't think men get a proper, they don't always get the proper like
Education on it.
mindset,
Agreed.
like education on how to deal with it. But going back to women,
Mhm.
if you suppress your anger, you're not just like making yourself feel bad, right? Like it's not just,
Mhm.
oh, I'm gonna keep it together. I'm gonna keep it the fuck together, and I'll figure it out when I have time. You're not gonna have time, first of all. But secondly, the second you do that, I mean, there's statistics on statistics about this, but again, bringing up that autoimmune diseases are 80% of people who have autoimmune diseases are women. That's a
Mhm.
huge reason why. Um, Depression, anxiety, chronic illness, long COVID, all of these hormonal issues, things that we feel are inconveniences at the least,
Mhm.
but really life altering conditions at the most. Um, I'm not saying the only reason is your suppressed anger, but nervous system dysregulation is so real, and it happens because of suppressing emotion, which for women most of the time is anger. Uh,
Yeah.
that's there's science on it. It's proven like that it's just real bad for you. And on top of it, we get rewarded for hiding our anger. We get rewarded for being amicable and nice and accepting and teamwork, collaboration and inclusive, but not too aggressive, like not too bossy, like just a soft, like calming, motherly presence. Fuck off. Fuck right off with it. Like fuck right off with it, because it's killing us. It's killing us at younger ages. It's killing
Yeah.
us. And it's not
Literally.
worth it. It's not worth it. It's just not.
Yeah. Um, you bringing it up with regards to like how it lives in us. The post
Mm.
from Stephanie, she's got another slide I love the way she wrote
Oh,
this. She goes, rage doesn't go away. Unacknowledged rage doesn't disappear. It settles into the tissues of the body,
mm,
especially within the womb.
mm,
It might
mhm,
feel like there's no reason to be angry, but when you look more closely, you may find your way back to your childhood, or to your mother's, or to her mother's, and her
mm,
mother's before her. The body remembers what the lineage has carried. And it reminds me of
mm.
an experience that I had last year. I know it like that's so deep,
That's
but it hits
heavy.
so true. Like it
That's
hits to the core, and the best um the best correlation that I can make to that and what that experience feels like. And Christy and I have talked about this before, and I know I mentioned this. I think it was in like episode 1 or 2. Um, for about the last 4-ish months, I've been doing chiropractic care with a specialty chiropractor here in Orlando that works on network spinal. So it's a form of chiropractic care that treats the nervous system via the
mhm,
spine by essentially doing targeted pressure point work all along the spine, similar to like how acupuncture functions for those of you that don't know. And excuse me, my husband and I did a retreat last year before our wedding in April. And I went into it, I had a lot going on at the time. I wasn't feeling my best. The stress of the wedding was on my shoulders. I had just found out that I was going to be losing my job in a couple of months because they were,
mhm,
transitioning down our workload. So it was like so many things floating in my head, and I just felt heavy and I didn't know what to do. And I was already in therapy, but I felt like there was just something, like I needed something to kickstart. So we went on this wellness retreat that they did, that they called the immersion experience. And they did a mix of yoga and breath work and journaling prompting. And then you got 3 different sessions of what they call entrainment with 3
mhm,
different doctors. So it was really cool because each of the doctors had a different energy, because different people have different energy depending on what they have
mhm,
going on in their life and how they practice, right? So I think back to that experience, and it was so cool because from the first doctor that I did my entrainment with, who, funny enough, happened to be the same doctor that Christy ended up going to see in Miami because I told
Mhm.
Christy about the experience. So with
Mhm.
hers, I don't know what it was. It was like this cool energy of like a mom taking care of like a really young kid, right? So it's like
Mm.
I started with the mom energy. Then the second doctor that I sat with, I didn't have as much of a reaction, but I felt like my body started to react more to her. So like I felt it
Mm.
start getting tense and all of the energy started to move to two different places in my body, right around my pelvic area and right in the middle of my chest. Like I was having trouble breathing most of
Mhm.
the day. And then all of a sudden I get to my third one. And that's with the doctor that I still see to this day. And one of the things that she told me, which I loved, was she goes, okay, so this is your last one for the day. She goes, I see you've been wanting to focus on these three things. The one thing that I'll tell you is whatever you feel in your body, just run with it. If you feel like you need to lift your arms in the air, kick your legs, curl up, whatever it is, like move with your body. Cause the more you move, the more like you're going to be able to kind of feel and move through the emotion. And, linking it back to what Stephanie said with regards to the body remembers, at one
Mm.
point when I was on that table, my body was contorted into, like, the weirdest shape. Like, my husband was watching me while I was having my treatment done and, because he attended with me, and he goes, "At one point, I swear to God, you were having an exorcism. Like, your hands were curling in, your toes were curled, your body was contorting, and you were making these sounds. Like, it's like you were fighting someone." And I don't know who you were fighting, what you were fighting. I made a friend that day while we were on the wellness retreat, and her and I ran into each other after dinner with our husbands, and she walked up to me. She goes, "When I saw you having your final session, I swear to God, I just wanted to run up to that table and hug you." Because she goes, "I don't know
Mhm.
who you were mad at or what you were fighting against, but I could feel the pain coming out of your body." And it just reminded me of, like, this visceral feeling because I think back to the experience, not knowing what I looked like, and all I could remember was, like, immense pain leaving me, but I couldn't even tie it to an emotion.
Mm.
And it I don't even think it was mine. It's one of those things where I'm
That's
like, I think
fascinating.
I feel like I was, like, releasing trauma from, like, people before me, from my mom, from my
Mm.
grandmother. So it was like it's one of those things that we don't realize how much our
Mm.
body and our minds store within them. And when you release it, like how freeing that is to the spirit. Um, and you can do it in healthy ways. It's so
Yeah.
sad that we're not taught to release it in healthy ways, both
Yeah.
therapeutic within, talk therapy. You can do it within physical therapy, doing physical exercise. Artwork is a
Mm.
great, way of being able to get things out. Just something to channel it,
Mhm.
to then
Mhm.
be able to repurpose it in a different way.
Yeah. It's so powerful. Like, wow. Like the experience that you had. You had told me about it before, obviously, because then I went to see like the one of the practitioners you saw, but um I think it speaks to a lot of what we sit with and what we bury and uh, what we learn to carry around with us from
Mhm.
really from the women in our lives. What they carry, what we carry for them, what gets passed down to us to carry. Um, like I've never lived in Cuba, but I feel that pain. I've never been there,
Oh, yeah,
but
absolutely.
I feel that pain. Like I have no reason to know what that's like, but the second that and I'm gonna get into politics and I don't give a fuck because it's our rage episode. But the second
Go
that
for it.
this, I think this presidency started and things started going because it's not like the first one. The first one I feel like was like testing the waters, you know? Testing the water.
Yeah,
What can
to
I get
see how
away with?
far.
This
Yeah.
one was destroy. Seek destroy from minute one. And I was sitting at the dinner table a few weeks ago with my grandmother who lived through Castro, my mom, my dad, and I was like, the reason I have such a huge problem, and they do well. My grandmother is a Republican and will live and die a Republican, because Bay of Pigs happened forever ago. But anyway, it's like it's so irrational. But I was like, this ultimately actions taken that are unconstitutional, that are abuses of power, that are obvious fascist. I mean, it's like playing out of a Nazi playbook, 101.
Yeah, it's
It's
dark.
it's it's wild. That has sparked in me it like an automatic fear because it feels familiar
Even though we've
because
never
it
experienced
was.
it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe it's because I was raised always hearing from my grandfather, who has passed away since, but he was a writer and adamantly anti communism, obviously. But I mean, hearing about the importance, freedom, and civil rights, and I mean, it was it was ingrained in me, I guess. So like it's been an automatic like th- uh, uh, no, like no, no, this is
Yeah.
exactly not right. You know, and people saying it's not happening to you. Why are you worried? Like there's a poem, and I don't know who it's by, but it's the one that goes like, first they took, my neighbor, and nobody said anything, or I didn't say
Hmm.
anything. Then they took my friend, and I didn't say anything. And then they came for me, and nobody was left to speak for me. And it's
Hmm.
just it's the leopard eats your face kind of.
Oh, no, no, no.
Because
I
just
totally
if
get it.
one person's rights are violated, everyone's rights are violated. That's how it works. So anyway, I know I went off on a
Or that's
tangent.
how
I'm
it
gonna,
should work.
well, you would think. I hope. But anyway, we can come back out of politics. So you go to your next slide on Stephanie's post.
So the last one that I wanted to kind of touch on, for me, it kind of pulls in what you had mentioned before, which was what's the cost of suppressing your emotions? Like how does
Mm-hmm.
that show up? So she puts it in, she highlights several things. She goes, when rage is silenced, life force becomes blocked. In Chinese medicine, this creates qi and blood stagnation, which can manifest as, for women, and it's funny because I'm actually in the process of unfortunately feeling this right now, painful periods,
Mm-hmm.
endometriosis, fibroids, infertility, chronic fatigue, outbursts of extreme rage during peri and menopause, which Christy and I are both becoming very familiar with, entering into the perimenopause
It's
stage.
no joke.
Um,
It's no joke.
no, it's not.
It's not
Digestive
a joke.
issues. Yeah, having digestive issues, high blood pressure, muscle tension, depression. Um, and it's really interesting because thinking back again to the story that I said, but then also since I've been going to regular treatment, like I have noticed how things move through my nervous system. I am much more aware.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I can see and feel where certain areas of my body will become stiffer, more stagnant with energy, that until I
Mm-hmm.
get to, a session and they're able to kind of push it out of my system, um, that I can feel that kind of weight lifted off the shoulders. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just it's interesting how, you know, a lot of these symptoms that a lot of us deal with, it's it's always been tied to, oh, you're just hormonal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's your time of month.
Oh,
And it's like,
are you getting your period?
no,
Are you on your
I'm
period?
allowed. Yeah. It's like, no, I'm
No.
allowed to have other emotions other than comedy or happiness or sadness. Like, I can have a full spectrum of emotions any time of day, any time of the month, any time of the year. Like, I shouldn't be pigeonholed into this period where it's, oh, my hormones are imbalanced, so that's the only time I'm allowed to get mad, or that's the only time you know how to prepare for when I am most likely going to be angry. And then when I happen to be angry another time, you're like, whoa, 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 where's this coming from? Why are you like this? It's like, can it just be because you did
It's a
something that
human
pissed me
fucking
off?
emotion.
Exactly. It's like men are given this blanket, and you touched on it before, that they're allowed to embrace their anger and they can let it out whenever the hell they want. And oftentimes
In unhealthy fucking ways at each other.
Not all men, but yes, it has become
not all
more
men,
prevalent in more men
enough
nowadays.
Enough men that
men, yeah.
It's they I mean, I see it in corporate all the time. They do not
So
know
that
how
was
to
going to be my next
emotionally
point.
regulate. They cannot emotionally regulate themselves for shit. They can't control a single ounce. Not all, but many. And I'm sure I'm saying it, and you're thinking of a face or many faces, right? Of grown ass men who cannot handle an emotion and turn into tantruming children and traumatize the people reporting to them. Nobody is above them to be like, hey, stop fucking doing that. You're being an asshole. No, they're around yes people. So they just get to say and do whatever they want. And then those people that are traumatized turn around, because they're men too, turn around and are like, I feel like shit. But then 10, 20 years later, when they're promoted into the position that the guy was in, they're like, I had to separate. So next guy has to separate too. And it's this train
instead of learning and getting better. Yeah, exactly.
Trauma.
Exactly.
Stop it.
And if the script is flipped, like for men, they're allowed to get angry and they raise their voice, or they're strict, right? And it's viewed as that's how they are. That's exactly how a leader should act, and so on and so forth. And then you get a woman doing it, and it's like, oh,
she's a bitch.
She's hysterical. She's a bitch.
She's a bitch.
She's rude. You know, all of that. And it's like, no, she's angry, and she's allowed to be angry. And what's worse is when we are doing it from that, approved level of anger, right? Or the approved level of rage. And we're still told we're being too aggressive.
Yep.
And it's like, we're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't.
Correct. Because there isn't, it's not, and I get it. Like, it's sort of saying it out of the side of our mouths, right? Like, you have to express your anger, but there are consequences to expressing your anger as a woman. One of them being literally inciting violence against yourself if you're in a situation where you're not completely safe. You know, like you have someone catcalling you and you roll your eyes at them, they might fucking come for you. And that's real. It's happened to women, to the women listening to this, to women that you know if you're not a woman or if it hasn't happened to you. And it happens all the time. And so I recognize that. Like it's dangerous, and it can be. So until we have a society that teaches men better and gives women the space to feel all the ranges of emotion, we have to find other ways, unfortunately, to regulate ourselves. It's fucking sucks, and it's not fair. But
I think it's also important that
point.
I think it's important, real quick before you jump, that men also be given the space to explore and express all of the range of emotions too. So I think that's big too. And yes, I know to a certain extent we were kind of taking a shit on men and rage for a minute. We have a right to in that sense because of what we've been exposed to. But
Mhm.
by the same token, a lot of the issues that men deal with, it's because they are not given safe spaces to
Yeah.
express and cope
Yeah.
and experience everything: joy, sadness, laughter, anger,
Yeah.
boredom, discontent, literally a full spectrum. It's like they're
Mhm.
pigeonholed into specific things. And it's funny because I've talked to my husband about this. In the
Yeah.
beginning, it was a little bit tougher. Um, because I have a full spectrum of emotions. I am all of them. I am everything,
Mm.
sometimes all at once. I'm very much a colorful rainbow of emotions. Uh, and I feel that
She's
I
an
am.
Aries.
I
She's
am.
an Aries.
Um,
Okay.
and I feel things very, very uh, strongly on all angles of the spectrum, right?
Heard.
Um,
Heard.
and in the beginning, when we were first dating, the first couple of years, it was a wall though that we used to hit a lot of the times because it's like I felt like I was only getting essentially two modes from him. It was either full on comedy sarcasm
Mm.
or anger. And the longer we were together, um, the more I started to understand his family dynamic and where he came from, right? I saw the difference and why.
Mm.
And in a way, I mean, it's essentially defense mechanisms, right? Um, but it's something that we've
Mhm.
worked through. And in me going to therapy and learning a lot more, I've learned how to approach him differently to be able to give him the
Mhm.
space. And I think a lot of the times too, it goes back to what I was saying, that men aren't given the space or the permission to explore different emotions. I've literally I
Mhm.
can think back to times where I've told him, I'm like, "You're okay to feel XYZ." I was like, you can cry, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're sad, it's okay
Mhm.
to cry. You don't have to inject a funny moment into something because you're uncomfortable with it. Like, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Just sit with
Yeah.
that. Um, and all that comes from maturity, but just to say that it's as much us embracing and society embracing, women being able to express the emotions that a lot of the times we sit in and are not allowed to express. Um,
Mm.
and men also learning how to be able to experience those emotions as well and be given the permission to feel them.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. 100%. Um, Going back to what you had said about, I really liked how you said the approval, like women having the approval to be angry. So there's a really interesting article that I read that we will put in the show notes. Um, that kind of looks at female rage. I mean, obviously, all the ways that we've already described it and, told our own anecdotes about it and kind of the usual stuff, right? That you hear about female rage, that it's real bad that we suppress it and we have to express it and all the things. But this specific article kind of takes a different point of view. Um, Not a bad one, just a different one. And I'm going to read a couple things, but I'll read this one first. There's a sense now that female anger is something to strive toward, that its ostensible root in reacting to injustice makes it inherently noble. So think of like the
Mhm.
Me Too movement, for example. But this is anger as a tool, politically and socially. Why shouldn't our anger be as unfocused and immoral as all of history has allowed men to have it? Maybe it's not so schooled. Maybe it's not quote unquote good. Maybe female rage isn't something we can celebrate or think well of. And this author goes on to give an example of a specific film that called Promising Young Woman.
Mhm.
I don't recommend watching it if you have any history or sensitivities around sexual abuse or the R word, etc.
Mhm.
But if you are comfortable with watching something like that, it's a very powerful film. Um, but after seeing it, I've seen it a few times. Um, and I liked it for the most part, but I always, after, in the end, I always had an uncomfortable feeling, and I'm going to spoil it. So, if you want to like fast forward like a minute, you can. But basically in the end, so this is what the author says in the article, and I think she makes a good point, and it kind of circles back to what I was saying. Um, so making female rage into something easily consumable, such as in Promising Young Woman, where the most that the protagonist, Cassie, can hope for in seeking to avenge the R word of her best friend is agonizing death at the hands of a misogynist, followed by the possibility of carceral justice, doesn't sit right with me. There's something about being told your anger is good because you're being of use that seems to circle back to the original problem of women not being afforded the space to live without constant justification. I don't want to have to be of use to be allowed to exist.
Ooh, I like
And I
that.
think that's so
Yeah.
powerful. That's so fucking powerful. Like the fact that, and you actually gave an example of it when you said, people going, oh, you have your period? Is that why you're mad? Always needing to justify your anger as a
Mhm.
woman is infuriating on top of whatever
It's
anger
also
you have.
exhausting.
It's absolutely exhausting. Yes, absolutely. And I think another good example of sort of female rage, I mean, the Me Too movement is one of them, and a good one and a recent one, because at first the Me Too movement, I think, was amazing because, I mean, I think in general it was amazing, right? You had women speaking up, which hadn't been done in history,
Mhm.
right? Against very powerful men. But then it became marketable. Then there was merch. Then it became something else, the capitalism took
Yeah, and
hold of, right?
unfortunately, it
Um,
diluted what it truly should have stood for from the beginning.
yeah. So, um, another example is, did you ever see Beyonce's Lemonade? Like
Miniseries?
it was like a movie of
The
the
album?
whatever.
No, I did
I
not.
don't know how to describe it, like
Yeah.
visual album.
No, I did not.
So there's one song in the album that's it's one of the first songs, and basically she's a woman scorned, and she's wearing this like beautiful yellow dress, and she's bashing in the um, windows of I guess her ex person's car. And again, it's another example of making women's rage consumable, pretty, because it was beautiful. Slowing it down, fetishizing it in a way. Um, I think all of this is to say that you don't have to, your anger doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to sound a certain way. It can be tears. It can be screaming into a pillow if that's what you need to do. That helps me if I'm screaming. But I cry a lot.
It also doesn't have to serve a purpose,
And it doesn't have
which
to
is, I
serve
think,
a
the bigger
purpose. Yeah.
message.
Because there's so much built up, you don't need a reason. The
Mhm.
reason's there, babe. The reason's there times 1,000. Um, you're allowed, to be a fucking mess. You know, you're a human. You're allowed to be a human, and anger is a part of the human experience, just like joy is a part of the human
Mhm.
experience. And it's unfortunate that men don't get to share it amongst like friends the way that women and their friends do. That I kind of feel bad about for men, that they don't have like the kind of, I don't know, like the
they don't get the same connection that we
Yeah.
do. Like women
That's kinda
will,
sad.
we may not, especially the older we get, right? And life gets more complicated. So it's
Mm.
tougher to plan stuff. Like there's all the memes out there. It's like, are you even really best friends if you're not planning out your lunch dates like 2
5
months in
years in
advance
advance.
because so and so's kids have a recital or this, that, or the
Yeah.
other? Um, like there's so much more freedom that women get to experience, and for the record, it's not to say that we don't get to experience rage or we don't get to experience our anger. It's we have to find it in and express it and feel it
Mm.
in very, very specific ways in specific spaces.
Mhm.
We get into trouble when we experience it in the wrong spaces.
That's true.
So to look at it from the perspective of, men not having the same experience, it all goes back to they're not given that freedom and that permission from a young age
Yeah.
to be able to say, hey, I didn't like what so and so did. This is how it made me feel. And then
Mhm.
exploring that and learning how to deal with it and push and not push through it, move through it.
Mhm.
Um in a way where it doesn't come back and hurt them, and not be afraid to not talk to each other about
Mm.
it. Whereas for us, we get that freedom.
Mhm.
We go out for girl day, right? And we'll do brunch and we'll do dinners or we'll just hang out with each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, we always start with it from a fun place.
It always
But
ends up
99% of the time, somebody ends up having a full-blown hysterical meltdown
Yeah.
at lunch after like 2 or 3 drinks
Yeah.
because we start talking about one thing,
Mhm.
or someone just needed that little bit of liquid courage to let their guard down to
Mhm.
say, "Hey, I'm dealing with this." And then the pack mentality of women in community
Mm.
comes up, and then everybody's all about, okay, how do we take care of each other?
Yeah.
What's going on? Um, we experience that safety net a
Yeah.
lot quicker. Even though high school girls are absolute fucking rabid dogs. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, we are
Yeah.
assholes when we're in high school.
We are.
Even if you're a good person, you're still an asshole
Yeah.
because we're just,
Yeah.
yeah. But the older we get, and you start creating those communities, um, it it becomes a safer place for us to be able to communicate, and we do it more regularly.
Mhm.
It's easier for us to just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'm dealing with this. I just need to talk to somebody."
Yeah.
Men don't know how to do that. There's a
Yeah.
really powerful commercial. I think it was one of the UK soccer teams put it out a couple of years ago, and it was specifically focused on Um, I think isn't October like Men's Suicide Awareness Month?
I
I
don't
think it
know.
is.
Maybe.
I forget what month it is, but they put it out during Men's Suicide Awareness Month. Um, and it it chronicles, two men that essentially are soccer friends, right? They
It's
happen to have
November.
season tickets next to each other. They attend. Okay, November. I was off
You
by
were
one.
close.
And they attend the same soccer match for the same soccer team all throughout the year. And one guy is like really, really happy go lucky, just always really into the match and really excited and loving
Mm.
the experience. And the other guy is always very quiet, right? So knowing that it's a suicide prevention uh, commercial, you're thinking the
It's the
entire
sad one. Yeah.
time that the guy that's quiet and sad or not animated is the one that has the problem. And then by the end of it, it's him showing up to a match, and he puts a scarf on the empty chair next to him, and
Yeah.
everybody around him is giving him consolation because his friend is gone. And then it brings up like a statistics with regards to men's suicide. And it talked about how, depression doesn't look the same for everyone,
Mm.
and you never know. And I mean, there's tons of examples. I mean, just look at the music industry.
Mhm.
What's the guy's name from Linkin Park?
Oh,
The lead singer,
Tre
Charlie. Trent.
No, Trent
God,
Reznor.
I'm
Trent.
for
I'm so sorry.
for our Linkin
So
Park
sorry,
fans. I'm so sorry.
millennials.
I don't
I'm
remember
sorry.
his name. I know. Um, like
Trent Reznor, I
they
think.
never do it, and like he was out that morning and he was perfectly fine, and then
That shit
that
was
night,
insane.
Kurt Cobain.
Or Robin
Again, yes, he
Williams.
had drug issues for how many years? Robin Williams, even though he was later found to have Louis Dobbs disease. So that was a combination of
Oh,
dealing
was
with a
he?
degenerative brain disease. Yeah, there's
Interesting.
articles
Okay.
about like him being diagnosed after the fact.
He was so
Um,
special.
and also, who else was it? Uh, River Phoenix, Joaquin
That's
Phoenix's
right.
brother.
That's right.
And everything that he dealt with, which obviously within the entertainment industry, there's a lot that's speculated with regards to him having been abused that a lot of people have talked about. But nonetheless, it's, you know,
Oh my God,
again,
no. Trent
there,
Reznor is from Nine Inch Nails. I'm such a fucking. Hold on. Linkin Park.
you killed the wrong person.
God damn it. I'm sorry, Trent. Chester Bennington.
Chester. Okay.
I'm so
So,
sorry.
um,
I love
yeah,
Linkin
I know.
Park, but
It's okay.
I'm not good at names.
Um,
Sorry.
so just kind of bringing it back to how, you know, men will suffer in silence because to the extent that we get the opportunity to express ourselves so often, they don't feel comfortable expressing themselves, which is sad.
It's interesting. We
And
suffer
that's why,
in
like, that's one
silence
thing that
in different ways. We all suffer in silence then.
we do. We all do
That's
suffer
very
in silence,
interesting.
yes. But I think they suffer in a way where, because it's so stigmatized as a weakness,
Right.
that's why they suffer in silence.
That's true.
So that's something that, at least for myself and in my relationships, and not just with my husband, I do the same thing with my brother and, with any male friends that we have. It's like, if I see that something's up, and I'm usually really good at, because I'm an empath, so like I can pick up on something's off with people, and I'll ask, and and I'll let them know if you want to talk, like this is a safe space, like I'm happy to just listen. I won't no judgment here kind of deal, right? I think the more that we give that safety net to everyone, the more that the issues with rage on both sides will slowly soften, because it will just be seen as an opportunity to move through and experience versus this feeling of attacking, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Not only others, but also yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. True that.
So, anywho. All right. Well, it feels like we've kind of come to the end of our show for the day. So before we wrap up, something that would be good that we can kind of touch on, just to kind of end on a little bit more of a light note in a way. What are things that you do to kind of help you move through your moments of anger? Like, what have you learned is helpful for you, and any recommendations that you have?
Yeah, screaming into a pillow, screaming into a sweater, going to the bathroom at work and scream into something really helps. And usually it makes me cry, and that helps as well. That's like in the moment kind of thing. Movement in general helps. So taking myself away, if I can, from the situation and just like walking around, or exercising in general, lifting a weight, doing something to make myself like proud of myself for a minute is always like a good way to sort of recalibrate my brain. Sometimes eating if I'm hangry, but I don't think that's what we're talking about here. So I'll just turn it back to you. I'm a Snickers commercial.
So I think everything that you said definitely hits
I'm
it.
such a Snickers. It's true. I'm a Snickers commercial 100%. Like, it's anyway. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
When you're hangry. Yeah. No, I think so all the things that you said, absolutely. I think for me, I just I've tried to work on allowing myself to
Mm,
feel the anger in the moment, and I'll say, "Look, I'm really, really angry," and I don't hold
mm,
back to an extent. Like, I try to keep it within reason, but I try to not suppress
yeah.
it as much, right? Um, Also taking space away, agreed. One thing that I like to do, and I think it's more so sometimes, anger can also be a reaction to overstimulation.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
sometimes being in like silence or having white noise like is good. Like sometimes I'll find when I've got a lot on my mind or I'm angry, doing the dishes in like complete silence is
Interesting.
something that I really enjoy doing because it's just it is a bit physical
All
in
right.
its own right, right? And then it's like you get the white noise of the water that's just
Yeah.
consistently running, um, is great, and I have tried the screaming into the pillow. Um, that for me it's funny, for me, it doesn't do enough. Like, I'll
Interesting.
do it, and then I'll start to cry, and then I'll still be angry, and I don't feel like it's
Oh, I
enough,
have to, but you have to do it
so
like as if you're a roller coaster is also a good one. If you're into roller coasters, screaming on a roller coaster is, oh my God, it's just it's I probably feel the most free when I'm doing that. It's so therapeutic in some weird ass way, like because I'm allowed to scream and I'm outside just screaming. I'm not hiding it from anybody, and I don't know, it's freeing in some weird ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, no, it totally makes sense. It totally
but
makes sense.
interesting that it doesn't work. Hmm.
But I think for me the big yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's because it's like for me, I almost feel like I'm screaming well, I am screaming into a void, right? So for me, be it's kind of sad because it's like it's not serving a
Hmm.
purpose or
I
that anger
guess
is not being channeled to a
right.
purpose. Like it doesn't give me that
Mm.
freedom. Um But because we do talk mental health and, as you like to say in our intro every single time, seriously go to therapy,
Yes.
my safest place to express anger is, therapy is the biggest thing for me. Which actually I hadn't had the chance to tell you this. I got graduated from
You
therapy this
did.
past
You
week.
did, but yay.
Um, I
You
did.
did.
I am I am proud of myself, but at the same time, like, I still haven't, like, fully come to, I don't know, jive with
That's
it, I guess you could
okay.
say, because I love my therapist, and I like looking forward to that 1 hour of time where I'm not gonna be judged for talking about
Right.
myself and whatever the hell is going on, good, bad, or
Yeah,
indifferent, right?
I get that.
Um But I would say if you're not in therapy, definitely find a therapist that you feel comfortable with, that you can talk to, and you can get that rage out. You can get that sadness, that joy, that discontent, nervousness, whatever
Yeah.
emotions you're feeling, get them out that way. It's at least a start.
And don't trauma dump on your friends. I mean, yes, depend on your friends, but also your friends probably also are going through shit. And the best the thing you need, I think, when you need to like let things out in a talking
Mhm.
way is to someone who doesn't have bias and who's really listening. Um, and I mean, we all have friends who are better at some things than others. Um, but I don't know. For me, knowing that I'm talking to someone that like isn't gonna just bullshit me and is gonna call me out when I'm bullshitting.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Or like trying to like take the easy way out of something, and I don't know. I just find that talking therapy, also writing. Writing helps me specifically a lot. It used to help me a lot when I was younger. I was a diary. I have diaries from like all my little crushes and shit from like fourth grade. I would just like write when I would get in a fight with my brother. I'd be like, "I'm so angry at Andrew." But anyway,
I never got into diary writing,
writing might help.
but that is another option. That's not something that
If it's your thing.
yeah, if it's your
it's your
thing, journaling
it
is
could help.
always really, really good. You can always start a podcast like we did if you've got a lot of shit on your mind that you want to get off your
True.
chest, and you know,
True.
if you can find a way to make it
True.
work, that's kind of why we did it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Honestly, I mean,
yeah.
it's true.
Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate you sticking around with our squirreliness. We hope you learned a little bit about embracing your own rage, and we welcome you to, really think about like where you are and what you're experiencing, and look for healthy ways to kind of just let it out and take a moment, reflect on how you can honor your own sacred rage, and realize that it is essentially a life force within you. And with that, thank you so much again. If you liked the episode, please remember, like always, to like, share, comment, and follow us. Share it with your friends. If you would like to interact with us, you can check us out on Instagram at My Brain Está Spicy. And you can also reach out to us via email at thespicybrainpod@gmail.com. And until we all get together again, may your brains be just a little bit less spicy.
And your tummies too. Stay safe out there.
Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you hanging out with us on this mental health ride. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, follow, comment, and share My Brain Está Spicy with your fellow overthinkers, because the more the merrier in this Spicy Brain Club. If you're curious about any of the hacks or products we've mentioned, check out the show notes for links. We're not sponsored by any of these, though feel free to call us. We just love them so much and think you might too. Catch you next time. And until then, may your brain be just a little bit less spicy.